Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our webinar on Outperforming PMax. We have some really great speakers presenting some of our brand new solutions on how you can really maximize your returns from your PMax campaign. So how can you really get the benefit of Google's AI, but still keeping that degree of control? If anyone has any questions as we go through, please feel free to log them in the chat. Hopefully we'll find some time at the end to go through them. But if not, we'll make sure we follow up with some answers to those in our follow-up. So firstly, hopefully this is a pretty unnecessary slide, considering you've all joined a webinar specifically titled about PMax. But for those of you that don't know, and just to cover all bases, PMax is an ad format that Google released in 2022, I believe, which allows you to get access to all the different types of ad formats in a really accessible, easy way. So all you really need to do is upload your target, some assets, some audiences and feeds, and a few campaign settings. And Google's AI will basically start running those campaigns across all the different ad formats, optimized to deliver maximum results within your efficiency goal. So yeah, really a great and accessible tool. And it's really working. You know, there's a lot of different case studies and a lot of findings that they're showing, you know, the really positive effects of PMax campaigns. Of course, Google AI has access to a ton of data, so it's obviously incredibly powerful. We can see that with a lot of Google case studies where they're showing, you know, increases in conversions and improvements to efficiencies at the same time. And we very much found the same with our clients. You know, the more we use PMax and involve it in projects, the more successful they've been. However, one of the real trade-offs of relying on such a wide sweeping AI solution, of course, is going to be a feeling of decreased control versus what we're used to within traditional search ads. And Google very recently, in fact, this week, has released certain new settings to help you get a bit more control over what PMax does. But for those of you quite as neurotic as me, you're probably on the lookout for ways you can better tailor the PMax campaigns and make sure they're really arriving at your business goals. So hopefully this is what we'll be able to talk through today. And really the main drawbacks that I personally feel when running PMax versus traditional search campaigns is, you know, you don't necessarily have the control of the product as you used to. So for instance, in old school text ads, you're able to choose the ad copy, you're able to choose the landing page. You know, you're fully in control of that messaging and the customer user journey. Whereas of course with campaigns like PMax and, you know, the traditional shopping within that, you're far more reliant on Google AI to choose which product shows. You know, you don't necessarily have that ability to really control which product is displaying. Secondly, the control over where your ads are showing. Again, with traditional search ads, you're choosing keywords that you want to appear on, and then you're choosing the product. So how can we really find a way to get better control over that query coverage? You know, with PMax, again, you're kind of reliant on the algorithm matching the search query to your product feed. So how can we really deliver a better solution with that? You know, it's not Google's fault. They only have access to certain amounts of data about your product. They don't have the ability to necessarily drive direct changes in your product feed. So how can we facilitate changes to get the best of both worlds, you know, the machine and the human side, where we can build AI and machine learning driven solutions to complement and enhance the Google AI. So this is what we want to talk to you about today, some of our new solutions around, you know, making PMax seamless. How can we, you know, break down some silos within the ecosystem to actually allow for better performance? So the first one we want to talk to you about is our enhanced PMax solution. How can we bring in additional product data that the Google algorithm and the Google Pixel doesn't necessarily currently see to create then product clusters driven by machine learning that we're able to activate in a better way. And then secondly, our colleague Quintine is going to join and talk about our generative AI feed enhancements tool, which allows us to leverage high volume, high performing search queries directly within the product feed to better control where we're showing up within the SERP. So with that being said, I'm delighted to welcome Amy to the stage, who heads up our search offering in the UK office. And she's going to talk us through in detail this new enhanced PMax tool. So over to you, Amy.
Great, thanks, Max. So yeah, as Max mentioned, I'm going to be speaking through the first tool, so how we can better kind of prioritize products within our PMax campaigns. So we've kind of called out our sort of key characteristics of the tool here. So the first one being, as Max already mentioned, we want to make sure that we aren't just fully reliant on purely looking at the Google Ads metrics and the data that we have available in there when we're optimizing our PMax campaigns. So a lot of the time we'll see that there are quite bespoke needs for different accounts and the kind of metrics and factors that you want to be taking into account when you're optimizing your campaigns. So quite a good example of this is Google Analytics site-wide data. So often, like most accounts can benefit from having that kind of site-wide view of what's converting well, on top of also what's converting well within your Google Ads campaigns themselves. So that's something that we want to be able to kind of bring into the campaigns and use to better prioritize those products. Also things like margin, stock, seasonality. So margin profit is definitely a key one. So sometimes you might have that built into your Google Ads, but where you don't have that built in, our tool can provide an avenue to also be utilizing that and using that to better prioritize products as well. And things like stock. So for example, products where you might have your stocks out on your key sizes, we can also be factoring that into campaigns as well. And seasonality. So it's always better to kind of be proactive with seasonality and try and beat those trends as they're happening, rather than sort of just having your activity be reactive to the changes that we see within Google Ads at the time. So that's definitely a key problem that we want to solve with the tool. And then secondly, another characteristic, so we use enhanced machine learning to kind of cluster the products. So rather than looking at a product, specific product level for each product, we cluster those products into groups. So this kind of has two benefits. So one is that it better groups together that data, so you can kind of take more of an insight and more of a learning from that data because you've got a bit of a larger pool that you're looking at. It also helps with the common issue that we see on PMax, which is that you quite often will see that a lot of your traffic is being directed into your high converting products, and there's a large portion of products that are zombie products, so they're kind of being ignored by Google and maybe aren't receiving many impressions. So by using this clustering technique, those products can also be put into clusters with similar products with similar characteristics. And that means that they can also kind of share those learnings from those products that are getting more traffic, and therefore you might discover new products that are similar to your ones that are currently performing very well. Third kind of aspect of the tool is how we actually activate this in the campaigns is obviously a very key part. So we have like a multi-campaign structure, and essentially we just have different levels of prioritization within those campaigns, different budgets, different targets set, so that where we have this group of our strongest products, we make sure they're being prioritized accordingly within the campaigns as well. And then finally, ongoing optimization is obviously a very key part of any kind of strategy on Google Ads. So our AI model kind of continuously optimizes the product clusters and ensures that they are constantly being tested in different campaigns, and that we can then find the optimal solution for where they're going to drive the best overall performance across all of your PMax campaigns. So then looking into a bit more detail of how this actually works, a bit more detail on the clustering side of things as well. So how that product clustering works. So it kind of looks at two aspects. So it looks at product title and the characteristics of each product, and we'll group them kind of by what's relevant to each other, what products are similar. So for example, if you're a clothing brand, you might have a cluster that's for little black dresses, for example. Those are all clustered together. We then also do have an aspect of the clustering that's also based on performance. So obviously within that pool of dresses, you're going to have some that are, maybe there's a better price point or there's a better style or something. So you're going to have some that perform better than others. So we're still also factoring in that kind of base performance in there as well, because that's obviously important. And then kind of the second layer to how the tool works. So we then have an AI agent that essentially constantly is experimenting with these clusters and moving them between different campaigns. So this then essentially allows it to learn what changes work and what changes don't when it's trying to improve that overall performance. And the way that works is essentially the agent will be rewarded if it makes a change that supports those overall client goals. So for example, it moves one cluster from your lowest priority campaign up to your sort of medium priority campaign. If it then sees an increase in revenue from that cluster, it will be kind of rewarded from that, and it will learn from that move, and it will make similar moves. It will keep that cluster in that campaign, and etc. Essentially learns from that change. And then as time goes on, that kind of experimenting is reduced so that more time is spent in the optimal solution of where it thinks is the best place for each of those clusters to sit. And then finally, with the reward settings, so what's it actually looking at when it's optimizing towards those goals? So currently this is set up in two ways, or it can be set up in two ways. So either we'd look to maximize a value within an efficiency limit. So a most common example would probably be maximizing revenue within a ROAS target that you set, or maximizing revenue within your campaign budgets. So you kind of set that goal in the initial kind of initialization of the tool. But then also that's based on your campaign budgets and targets as well. So then kind of moving on to what the onboarding looks like. So the first stage is kind of assessing what data sources are most relevant to be using within the tool, like we kind of talked about earlier. So obviously we have Google Ads is still an important source to include, Google Analytics, also all the attributes from GMC. And then we're also looking at other data sources we can include here as well. So it would very much be like a custom tool where we can build things in that are relevant for each account. And then secondary, so looking at the goal setting. So as spoken about, there's those two options. So this would be where that goal would be set for the campaigns of either maximizing revenue within budget or maximizing a value within efficiency target. And then finally would be the launch of the campaigns. So after that initial first initialization of how the clusters should be grouped and where they should sit in the first state of campaigns, we then go live, and then the AI agent will begin kind of doing those explorations and learning further where those clusters should sit. And then we also set up a dashboard as well, which I'm going to walk you through, which kind of demonstrates, so you've got a very clear idea of exactly what changes are going on that have been made by the tool and by the AI agent, but you can also line that up versus your account performance. So you've got a very strong understanding of what changes are happening and also how that's affecting performance. So I'm just going to do a demo of this dashboard now. Just to give a quick overview. Okay, cool. Yes, so you can see we've got kind of the first sort of overview tab page here. So you can see you've got number of total products, the number of product clusters. So you can see how those clusters have been grouped and how that's narrowed down the kind of data points that we're looking at quite a lot. Also the number of campaigns we're using, and then the number of movements. So that's the number of movements that the AI agent has made as it's sort of experimenting with those clusters and seeing where they are best suited to sit within the campaigns. You've also got distribution here of the products, the number of conversions in each campaign, and the product clusters. This is just kind of an example like data set here. And then you can also see across all of your PMax campaigns how conversions are trending, how ROAS is trending. And then you've also got this view at the bottom here of the product clusters. So you can kind of see here the naming convention of the clusters. The first kind of number refers to the characteristics, so that's that first cluster, and then the second cluster or the second number is that sub cluster for performance. So that's how the clusters are named. We are looking at kind of having AI naming for those clusters as well, so that it's a bit easier to distinguish exactly what types of products sit in each of those. And then you've got the metrics for those as well from Google Ads, and you can filter to individual clusters too. And then we have kind of the moves here, so you can get an idea of what moves are being made and when, and what clusters are being moved and which campaigns they're being moved between. So tier is just the campaign number, so you can get an idea of what kind of explorations are going on there. And then I won't go through every single tab, but just to give an idea of the breakdowns that you can see as well. So tier or campaign level insights. So you can see by campaign, you can see revenue over time, conversions over time, ROAS, the number of products as well, and the number of clusters. So you essentially have a very, very clear view of exactly what's going on in each campaign, what changes are being made over time, how that's affecting performance. And you can filter for the campaigns there as well. And then also at the cluster level, and you've got further at product level too. So you can again filter for these clusters. You can see the total number of IDs. Sorry, it's lagging slightly now. And then you can also see revenue over time by cluster, and the number of conversions. And we've also got some GA4 data in here as well. So you can see you just have that very transparent and kind of clear view of all the reporting, which sometimes you struggle to get from normal PMax campaigns without this tool. So yeah, that's just a very quick demo of the platform. If I just come back here, and then just to kind of finish on the enhanced PMax tool side of things. So this is a case study from the kind of initial testing of the tool that we've done. So you can see very strong results. So revenue up 133%, ROAS is also up 87%. And then we've also decreased that number of zombie products quite significantly as well. So our number of activated products is up 42%. So definitely some very strong results. And now I'm going to pass to Q, who's our head of innovation, who's going to talk you through our second tool to help enhance your PMax activity.
Thanks, Amy. Hi, everybody. My name is Quinten, Q for people that know me. I'm going to talk about how we use GenAI to enhance feeds. And why are we doing that? Because basically making sure that your feed is really up to spec for PMax is crucial, right? Making sure that everything in your product feed, so your product titles, your product descriptions, are really there to make the most out of what PMax can offer. One big thing that we are currently missing within PMax is, of course, the ability to see in reports how products and search queries are correlated. And that's where we actually start off with this new tool, matching the search terms with the product titles. And we do that by looking at the embeddings of both the product titles and the search terms. And then for the people that are maybe a little bit deeper into this technology, we look at the Euclidean distance between those embeddings, and then we even normalize them on set scores to ensure that not just we don't just get the best suiting combinations, but those normalized scores also form a matching confidence score, so that we know as a user how confident we are that the match made between the search term and the product title is actually the correct match that has been made. So once we have done that, and we know for each search term what the most likely product is that has been matched, we identify what we call the missing words. And those are the words that are available in the search term or actually present in the search term, but not present in the product title. And that's one of the first things that we'll look into to later on feed the LLM, the AI, to create new suggestions on product titles and product descriptions. We look at those words, but not only just at those words, we also look at what we call the bigram analysis. So we look at all the previous words before that word within all the product titles and all the product descriptions to see what is the best position for this word to insert into a sentence, if we want to insert it. And that helps the AI to make a better prediction on where to put this word in a sentence and form a proper sentence. And of course, an AI can already create proper sentences, but it could very well be that the data is very specific for a specific client, right? In the example, we look at jewelry, and you will see that sometimes, that differs. So that's why we use a bigram analysis specific on the data of the client. So then we move forward towards actually generating the improved product title and the improved product description. And there we actually start feeding everything into the LLM. And what does that mean? What do we all feed into that? So it's not just the found combination of search terms and product titles. It's the missing words. It's the bigram analysis data, but it's also all other information that we have on each product. Think about the product image, the product categorization, the product materials. All information that we have in the feed, we will also put towards the LLM, because that data can be used to to help the LLM make the prediction, but also to make sure that no faulty suggestions will be made, right? So, for instance, if a search term has the word square in it, and it has been mapped towards a product which isn't square, then the product image and the product description could prevent the LLM to put the word square in it. So that's why we put all the data of each product and each analysis in there and put it towards Gemini in this case. And that's a lot. That's also where the magic happens, because you can think about product feeds of 20,000, 50,000, maybe even 100,000 keywords or products. And then that means that for each one, you will need to make a request. And of course, that's a very lengthy exercise, and usually that will time out. And that's where, for instance, in this case, Gemini really sets itself aside. There we can do bulk requests, for 20,000 products, we now have a total request time under an hour. So that's really, really fast. And then also with Gemini, we are able to set how the data should return, in what type of form. And that way we can make sure that the data always comes back in a very specific schema that we can pick up downstream for the app. Then from there, we move towards the approval stage, because as we all know, it's really great to use AI for such use cases, but it's also really crucial to make sure that you check the data, and especially when you want to activate it later on. So the data will become available in a dashboard, which I will show you a little bit later. And there you can really check each suggestion and make sure that you pick out the ones that you want to push and leave the ones that you don't want to push. From there, you can actually activate automatically towards Google Merchant Center, making sure that the product titles are updated, and then you can run and test and optimize in multiple rounds, of course. Keep making sure that you redo this process regularly, because search queries will change over time. So this is a constant exercise, making sure that your product titles and your product descriptions will always best suit the search queries that people are searching for. So what do you get in the dashboard? Well, there are two things. First of all, you get a little bit of what we call a overview of the insights. In this case, these are, as you can see, it's an overview of words that are in general, so not case by case, but in general, present in search terms, but missing in product titles. And then you can see how often that happens, and that has been the times that it happens has been multiplied by the impressions associated with that search term and associated with that product title. So here you can see there's also a column called difference. You can see which words are missing the most, and maybe that's a generic insight that you want to apply upon changes for your feed, product feed. Think of words like charms, but you can also see that there are words that you maybe want to exclude. Words like sale, because sale you don't want to have in your product feed, in your product title. So that's why the tool also offers what we call a word blacklisting. Put them on that list, and it will obviously be excluded in the process. Then we also have some insights, and that's really on product level. This you cannot read, I think. So I will show you the actual dashboard. There we go. Okay, so in the dashboard, you will see, all the improvements being made. And you can see that at the top here, you can see that there's a diagram showing the suggestion confidence and the matching confidence. The matching confidence means like how confident is the AI that the product and the search term are well matched. And then the suggestion confidence is how well the AI thinks his suggestion for the alternative product title and product description actually is. And you see the distribution here, and on the right-hand side, you can see it in numbers. High confidence, medium confidence, low confidence for both options. Then we go down, and there you see the graph that I just showed you on the slides, the n-gram comparative analysis. So you can see, which words are actually missing on a higher level overall within your product titles. And that's actually maybe the most interesting one, the suggested product titles overview. So here you see for each search term, you see the matching confidence of how well the AI has been able to match towards the product title. You see which product title that is, and then you see which missing words there are. Sometimes it's just one, sometimes it's multiple. Then you will see the suggestion confidence. So here you will see the suggestion that the AI made. And the suggestion confidence is actually the confidence the AI agent that made the suggestion gives itself. And then we have like what we call the second opinion. So that's a second agent looking completely independently, looking at exactly the same data, but not with the request to create an alternative product title, but look at the created alternative product title and give his idea on how suitable it is. And it's fun to see that agents don't agree with each other as it should. So this also helps to have like a double check in there, how well you are able to trust this data. Of course, you can also filter here on if the suggested product title is different from the original one, because the AI has been instructed that if the original product title is good as is, then leave it. Don't make changes just to make changes. And finally, you see some performance data in here. The good thing is that on top of the dashboard here, there are also some filters. So you can make sure that you're only looking at products with a matching confidence over 40%. It's all normalized, so that's why I say 40%. With a suggestion confidence over 60%, just what you feel good with. And the idea of the dashboard is that you can play around with it, check it out, and see what fits. And once you've done that, and you have identified which ones you want to actually take over and push towards GMC, from there you can, it's a push with the button to push the alternative product titles towards GMC and start testing out in your PMax campaigns. Stop sharing. I will now go back towards the presentation. Finally, the case study, because we have applied this as well, obviously, and you can see by just making changes to these product titles and product descriptions, you easily get increase in CTR, in this case 70%, and decrease in CPC by 12%. These are the initial tests that we are running. Those are already looking very promising, and we are optimizing the process further and further down the road. That's it for the enhancements of feeds, I would like to hand over back to Max.
Thanks, Q. Really exciting stuff. Really glad we can get that released, and excited to see it spread across more clients. So the last thing I just want to touch upon is one other tool that we have that pairs perfectly with PMax as well, and that's all specifically designed around unlocking incrementality from PMax. So this is a solution we've been developed a long time ago and been running for quite a while, called Seamless Search. And essentially how this works with PMax, Seamless Search is our tool which translates from looking at paid and organic in silos, and is actually a machine learning driven bidding algorithm designed to drive total search returns, not just search returns from paid. And the way this works with Seamless is that it actually suppresses traffic through PMax campaigns on your high value SEO terms. So those terms that get a lot of clicks through organic, we separate those out from PMax, make sure that we're managing them through our Seamless Search bidding algorithm. And through that process, motivate PMax to work specifically what it's designed to do, which is do a great job of unpacking the long tail and driving new customer acquisition. So with the Seamless technology, we can make sure that PMax is incentivized towards incremental sales rather than just total sales altogether. If anyone has any wants any further information about that, we had run a webinar on that last year. The link's going to be posted in the chat now for anyone who hopes to check that out. I do recommend. And that's it. So thank you so much for joining this webinar. Unfortunately, we've ran out of time, so we're not going to be able to do the questions here, but we'll make sure to follow up with all those individually. These solutions are in beta for the one more month, and then we will be releasing them fully to the market in beta at the beginning of March. So if anyone really wants to make sure they're first in line to get a call in to get through the solution, please do scan this QR code and join the wait list. We're really excited about the value that we're seeing with our initial testing, and really hope to spread this across the market and with more advertisers. So thank you again. Really appreciate everyone joining the call. Sorry for running a couple of minutes over time. And we'll make sure to follow up with the recording, the deck, and the answer to all the questions. But again, thank you so much, and appreciate it again. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks. Bye.